Any questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Anyway, my name is Greg Fleschia, and I'm here. I'm not in favor of any of the bills. I'm only in favor of what you're doing right now to come here to be educated in what's taking place out here. This has been going on for a long time, right, Bob? And the same thing, in the early 1980s, 4 people got together, and I know you guys know all the names, I'm not going to repeat them, and they decided to give somebody a lease on the cinder cone up here so that they could mine cinder out of there. The ultimate purpose was to make a bypass road out here very cheaply so that drill rigs could get out there and make this geothermal expand. HGBA was already going out there. This was a done deal in their mind. They had the power and the juice to do it, and they did it. And then we had meetings and everything, just like we're doing right now, about all what we feel is the negative effects of this. And it was all just a dog and pony show. It was all wah-wah. Because they were going to do what they were going to do, no matter what. Finally, we came down to best available technology. And what was that? Isopentane. And what I hear now is isopentane that's supposed to be best available technology is escaping someplace into the ground already. And Jack Lewin came out, all our big meetings, all hot and heated and everything out there, Leilani Estates, even had the police come, because we're very concerned about all this. Oh, there's no long-term effects to low-level exposure to hydrogen disulfide. I've worked before in a refinery where they crack paraffin out of crude oil. And you see somebody go down in DWACs, you go the other way because hydrogen disulfide is very deadly. But they just, it just got pushed through. And I don't know how much you all know about it, deeply and everything like that. But it's definitely inappropriate for them to do what's been done down here. So noise abatement or all the rest of it like that is fine and dandy. The most appropriate thing to do is to fold up that whole situation right down there and cover it up and get it out of there. What authority you all have or you have here to do that like that? But this is all people who have invested their whole lives in this place. And it's not appropriate for somebody to come in just for make dollars and do something like this. Oh, well, you're not supposed to drill at night because there's a hazard. Well, yeah, it's a whole big hazard. Lead, mercury, all this stuff that comes out of that hole. I have somebody very close to me that was diagnosed with cancer. And Mary Zanakis, in 1991 something, she was the health editor for KHON TV, and there was documented that there's more thyroid cancer in the state of Hawaii than any place else in the world, except Chernobyl after it burned down. And the only other 2 places that was even close was Reykjavik, Iceland, very strong geothermal resource, and what do you call it down there, New Zealand also. So there's your smoking gun right there. It's just not appropriate. Please, if you have any authority, any ability like this, we got to plug these holes. Get done. Thank you.
We're talking about Jan. Is Jan here? Thank you. Our next speaker is Sativa, to comment on Bill 293. Aloha.
Aloha. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming to Pahoa. Again, I wanted to say, and I said this the last time we were speaking, that I think it's obvious to everyone that when that geothermal plant went in, there was nobody really negotiating for the community. We got a terrible deal. I hear there's an aquifer right underneath geothermal. Who owns that water? Nobody was advocating on the part of the community, and that's why we're here today. I'm happy about this bill, and I hope that it is a good bill, and it is well written, and it will stand the test of their lawyers and the loopholes, because that's very complicated stuff. So I'm hoping it is a good bill, and anything you guys can do to help us mitigate that situation of getting such a terrible deal when the geothermal was put in, is great and is helpful, and I hope we can move on. Like the gentleman just said, I think the whole point is we need to decommission the plant ultimately. that's got to be our ultimate goal, is to get rid of the plant out of Lower Puna, hopefully off the Big Island. There is so much solar technology available to us, wind and ocean, and this is all great and cheap energy and renewable and healthy, and so I hope it can change our focus. I know you guys can only do so much, and it is a very powerful force that we're taking on right now. A lot of money involved, Israeli company, and there's a lot of things going on. The governor wants it. So we have to think about these during election time. We have to ask these questions. We need to put people in places, not just in the county council, of course, but higher, who are going to try to fight for the rights of the people on this island to get rid of geothermal and to start investing into 21st century technology that we have available to us. That's really all I have to say, and aloha.
Well, thank you. Next testifier is Brian Hamilton. Someone else is ready, sir.
My name is Jan Malasek, and I feel very uncomfortable about I've lived around in the area, around the geothermal for about 20 years. The biggest problem was that I started the garden, kind of bananas and things, and I was even making money, and after 10 years of struggling with geothermal, I was relocated, except it took so long. And by the time I got relocated, the money really, what I got, I couldn't even get a lot for my house, because there was that boom on the real estate boom. Doesn't matter. I think that as far as the noise goes, now listening to testimonies of other people, I realize about all these low frequency vibrations. I said it when I complain at night, I feel like my house is shaking, vibrating. I'd like to remind everybody that the original noise rules were 55 decibels during the day and 45 at night, and then it was without any explanation changed to 70 decibels straight day and night, which is only like 5,000 times louder. I heard all the screeching noises. I would really like to know how is like loud banging count on those decibel meters, because clearly, it just sometime at 3 o'clock at night they started just loud banging, and as far as I know, it just kind of spreads it out, so as far as, it doesn't show these peaks, it's just like a little, I've been, the PGB filed a civil lawsuit against me half a year before I was relocated for, they claimed that it was a form of harassment, that I complained too much. The lawsuit was pretty much thrown out. The judge, Ricky Mayamano, said that had nothing to do with civil lawsuit. They clearly wanted to ruin me, because everybody knows what it is when you lose a lot. Plus, I'd like to know, I had an analysis, there's white powder all over the place, and this cost me $500 before already, and I see it still around. There's like 30 different elements in the white powder, and some trees, some leaves around. This was done by an independent laboratory in Kona. And a lot of it, there are some heavy metals in here, cadmium, beryllium. I'd really like to, if this was again independently, we can provide tons of this powder. I live about half a mile from
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Okay, council members, we have 7 more testifiers to go. So do you folks want to take a break and you guys want to continue? Keep going, okay? Is that okay? All right, very good. If I could ask Jane Hetke? Jane, is Jane here?
Jane, you're up.
And Jane to be followed by Richard Weidelman.
Right now?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
And if I could ask Richard Weidelman to come up to the table, please.
My name is Jane Hedke. I live in Pahoa. Thank you for coming. I've testified a couple of times before. I was in mediation for both SOH and PGD. We had to mediate a total of something like 60 conditions with no expertise. And what I'm going to say today is that I feel that the permit itself needs to be reopened to accommodate this and many other things that have occurred administratively. The way it's kind of turned out is that the people have lost the voice to do anything in that permit, and a lot of things get done administratively without any of our testimony or even asked to help cast aside. I can go on and I can gripe about all that, but what I'm going to say is that this noise issue surfaced so long ago in mediation. It surfaced and we argued it for a week. It was thrilling. They insisted. Oh, we can't stop the noise. We can't. And we go to the geysers. We go on a junket that BBED sponsored, so a bunch of community members, and there was these gigantic baffles around the drilling rigs and the geysers. And Wilson Goddard, who was our expert, said, oh yeah, you have to use those to mitigate the noise. And he advocated that they use them at PGD. It's backed. The planning director determines backed every 5 years, according to the permit. It's been how many years? 1991 we saw those baffles. Here it is, 2012. They still don't have them. It is BACT. But that's too late already. Too late already. They're not going to do it. They don't want to spend any money. They didn't in mediation. They don't now. This is economic, folks. They agreed to a much lower drilling DBA in mediation. That's all gone. It's all gone because it's always being administratively changed. That permit needs to be reopened because a lot of things have been changed and it does not reflect. In order to, I don't understand Chapter 14. I don't know how that works into this whole is that a noise ordinance chapter?
It's general.
Okay, so you're able to access, to be able to do this through that chapter. It needs to be in the permit. It needs to be in that permit, and the commission needs to open it, and they need to reopen mediation. They do.
Here.
They really do. And Clyde, you were in mediation. Yes.
Oh, everyone.
Yes. And at the end, we were trying to represent our community, and we were told, you don't represent anyone. You represent yourself. So there. I can't explain enough. This noise issue has gone on for so long. And they want to correct it, they think. It's too late. It's just too late. On May 7, 2012, a noise variance from the State Department of Health was provided that until June 30, 2012, PGD could perform nighttime construction activities, but said the applicant shall make every effort to minimize, and plainly stated if the noise level is such, numerous complaints are received by DOH, the applicant shall cease operations upon receipt of an order and complete the project during hours on weekdays and weekends as directed. This has been already done by DOH. Without public testimony, without our knowledge, they gave them a variance for that noise. 70 decibels. That's only hourly average.
Thank you, Jane.
Okay, I'm done.
Thank you.
you.
Could you copy the testimony? Is that okay?
Well, I didn't never write it.
Oh.
It's mine, Dominic.
Okay. If I could ask Jack
Yes.
Weber to come forward to the table, please. Our next testifier is Richard Weidelman to speak to comment on Bill 219. Aloha.
In my reading about the bill in the newspapers, what I'm hearing is all the things that PGD is going to do to mitigate the noise. But one of the questions that I have for the council is if in fact we're going to allow them to drill 24/7, then what are we establishing? Is there a minimum decibel level that's been established as a result of that? I mean, that's a question I have for the council.
We're not designed to do a question and answer, sorry, but just continue this.
Okay, all right, well, that's a question for the council, and I'm not asking for an answer right now.
Thank you.
And so it seems to me that they're talking about how they're going to mitigate, but have they come up with any minimum decibel level that might be acceptable to the population? And I'm not hearing that. So I hope that the council will consider that when they're looking at the proposal that PGB has put forth. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your testimony. If I can have Michael Hauser from Council, please. Our next speaker, Jack Weber, to speak in support of Bill 292. Aloha.
First of all, I'd like to just turn around to my community and thank everybody that's come out here tonight to stand up and support this ordinance. The last time I sat before you and spoke was back in council chambers to try to get GMO labeling here in Hawaii, and unfortunately that didn't happen. I just spent 2.5 months on the mainland traveling around talking, speaking out against GMOs, chemical farming, the amount of pesticides and herbicides that are used in our agriculture. I'm a physician, I'm an author, I'm an organic farmer, and a journalist. I live here in Puna, I practice in Puna. I moved here 10 years ago. When I lived on the mainland, I specialized in environmental medicine. I treated lots of patients with heavy metal toxicity, severe disabilities from pesticide and herbicide poisoning, industrial pollutants. So the issue of geothermal activity and drilling and the metals and the gases and the health hazards are particularly close to my heart. With regards to noise, I have also treated a lot of patients with sleep disorders. And when you don't sleep, it makes life really rough. And the other thing that's also not realized very much is that when you don't sleep properly, a lot of diseases which are subclinical become clinical. And so the stress of not sleeping exacerbates a lot of underlying health conditions. And I'm concerned about that for our community. I also work at a couple different clinics and retreats here in Puna where people come from all over the world to detox, to take care of their health, to enjoy the beautiful weather and the clean air that we have here in Puna. And in these last 2.5 months on the mainland, when you go to the mainland, you can't help but realize what a beautiful place we have here. And upon coming back, I said I'm going to fight against this geothermal and fight for our rights and fight to keep Puna a bastion for the world so that not only we can live here in good health, but so that people can come here and to heal and to create an example and for our world and to go back out and do good things. So I'd like to conclude. I'm not going to get into all the work that I put on my land, which was just a bunch of rocks and trees when I got there. Very beautiful, but I came here to create my life 10 years ago, and I recognize a lot of farmers and a lot of people that have been here for a very long time. And the noise ordinance is one thing. I think it's, as Clyde said, the first step in the right direction, and I know that I and everybody in this room will stay here to the very end. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. If I could ask Mike